Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Academia Gothica official podcast. I am so grateful that all of you are here. Thank you so much for returning for this second live that I'm doing. For those of you who caught the live earlier for reading cards, I'm so grateful to each and every one of you who were presiding there, participating there. It was a beautiful live. It was very rewarding, and I was truly grateful for all of the experiences that I had with each and every one of you. And I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of this, being a part of my journey on TikTok, being a part of my experience as a content creator and a voice of the people. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart, because without you, it wouldn't be possible. So thank you so much. I just want to say thanks to everyone. And so to get this podcast started, right, I had quite a beautiful experience this weekend. As you know, this is like a tech podcast, but it's also kind of a spiritual podcast. I talk about random experiences that I have as a person, just moving through life and doing what it is that I do. And like this weekend was pretty eye-opening, because if you've been following along with some of my experiences, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has happened that has, you know, kind of like given me different perspectives that I've actually healed also. I've healed a lot of I guess you could say, like, the clashes in my spirit that I realized were there due to the fact that, like, I wasn't stepping up for myself, you know? And I noticed something, like, in life, right? People always have a choice. They have a choice to do well to serve themselves, or they have a choice to do well in order to serve others. And it's a matter of preservation. It's a matter of self-preservation. Sometimes it's a matter of choosing philosophically somewhat to not be the person to select the side of the lever that mows everybody over. But at the same time, philosophically, you also have the choices where people will say, okay, but what if it's me that ends up being, you know, mowed over so that all other people can live in a mundane and inexperienced and even ignorant kind of life, right? It comes down to value. It comes down to the value that we hold in ourselves and our abilities and our contributions. And I mean, like, me personally, I know for a fact that I was meant for something huge in this world, and it was to steward other people almost like a shepherd, not off a cliff for once, and rather to assist them with what it is that they would need in the way of help. For some reason, there's a restriction on my podcast here, and I'm just gonna appeal this because it's bullshit and it's not true. It's not real. So let's just yeah, wow. Regulated goods and services? I don't even know what the hell that means. Because, like, what are you talking about? There are no regulated goods and services. Someone's reporting my live to be a thorn in my ass, I guess. And I have 14 total views, so that's good. 16 views, thank you. 16 and counting. Yeah, my life isn't restricted. Oh, okay, thanks for the heads up, TikTok. So this is Palo Santo, right? So I'm not sure what TikTok thinks is going on here, but yeah. So yeah, going back to the podcast, I've been looking into stuff like spiritually to kind of up my spiritual game, because, like, I've noticed a lot of parallels. I kind of leaned off of the tech sector for a little while. And it's because, like, I just noticed that anything having to do with tech is definitely a hobby of mine. I love to work with tech. I love to do stuff like that. But keep in mind, like, I'm also the type of person to carry around a netbook on the train and, like, just pop out my netbook and start coding stuff. You know, it's just a hobby thing that I do. I love to practice writing scripts and things like that. I have no idea if I'm actually good at it, but I do it because I like to, and I, you know, learn along the way and pretty much just, like, follow suit with whatever it is I care about. But it's kind of just like, whenever I get to a point that I'm finding stuff in tech, I'm also seeing parallels with, like, things that have to do with spirituality. Like, for example, I can, you know, see a bunch of stuff having to do with building machines or understanding how the machines work. And then there are parallels spiritually that I'll find with those. And they come in the form of, like, I guess you could say, like, I'm drawing a blank right now. I had like 10 examples earlier, and for some reason I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, apparently someone doesn't want me doing tech shows. Fuck you. I do podcasts. I'm great at what I do. So if that's your energy, you can just have it all back stuck to you, because it's not going to stick to me. Yeah, okay, so here we go. For example, like, a lot of mythology, a lot of creatures are named. A lot of creatures have names, and they're used as references in technology. For example, we have, like, the Kali, you know, operating system. Kali was a goddess of death. It was she was a goddess of great change and, like, mortality pressed upon people who were perhaps, like, invasive people who disregarded boundaries of the innocent, and so on and so forth. So it's like these tools that were developed in software, and, like, this is a well-known one too. Like, not everybody knows about Hecate or, like, Hydra. Hydra is an intensely, like, damaging tool that you can use to snoop people's IP addresses. And another thing is, like, Kismet, right? Kismet is a spiritual term used to describe, like, something coming together in a perfectly serendipitous way. And Kismet is actually a government research tool. It's something that you can use to probe into people's devices and, like, get their entire locale, their entire system map, and kind of carry it forth that way with any type of research that you'd be doing. So it's sort of like, you know, if you're going to do stuff like that, then you basically have an opportunity to, like, show people the parallels between technology and spirituality. And people don't want other people to do that, because it shows that people who are techies are actually highly spiritual, and it could actually accidentally uncover tech covens who are using witchcraft to control and manipulate even people's attention to what it is that's in front of them. It could also just be that a lot of people who are in the tech industry are practicing members of faith, right? It doesn't always have to be Catholic, it doesn't always have to be pagan, but it could be. And a lot of it might be. In fact, it could be that the underground is run by a lot of spiritual people who have not come out as spiritual people, despite the fact that spiritual warfare is everywhere. And, you know, things can get a little eldritchy, as it were. So it's sort of like, there are parallels in all of these things that I have bridged gaps between and really, like, you know, brought to center. But a lot of techies will also make fun of it. Like, yeah, don't forget to charge your crystals, like, you know, for, like, a recon having to do with, like, red team work or something, you know? It's like, yeah, before we break into this house, don't forget to charge your crystals. Like, you know, people will make fun of stuff like that, but at the same time, it's just like it's, I wear crystals, you know, it's like, you can drag me for that, but, and, you know, like, I make fun of people who are all about, like, wearing the crystals and saying the right things and having the right energy, but then, like, don't actually have the practical aspects of prayer in check. You know, like, I'll tease them about it. I won't be mean about it, because I'm a steward, you know, I'm someone who is meant to guide people, so I'm not here to be, like, a jerk. I'm just here to be like, yeah, okay. You know, like, I'll tease. But there are actually some very fake spiritualists that have gained a lot of popularity over the course of decades. And the reason is because people didn't know any better. People didn't know how to detect fraudulent spirituality. So it's very interesting to see this. It's very interesting to see that fraud detection for the spiritual world can only happen so effectively if people keep buying into the same things that they're told, because it's memorized and it's not lived. And one such example is something that I wrote about today. Actually, I wrote about karma on the Patreon. It's patreon.com/agofficial. That's my official Patreon that I've been running as basically a pillar of example since 2018, and it got shut down. It got hacked basically to its death and then its resurrection in 2022. But I was exposing a lot of things. I was doing bug hunting. I was exposing telephony scams through like the PayPal portal via phone. I had like blurbs and snippets of pictures and cropped images that I put together on my phone and uploaded. And like I did all of this stuff by myself, and then it got ripped off by people who are already famous. So that was hilarious to see, like older people who I looked up to in the music scene who were just suddenly using all of my ideas. And, you know, and they were confirmed Satanists as well, so it's just funny to see that they took it upon themselves to honor me by theft. And it's like, of course, they'll just forgive me anyway. They're Catholic, right? Yeah, thank you. All right, so it can be like that sometimes. And it's all love. It's all love, really, you know. I don't have any harsh feelings anymore, because it's just, you know, what is done in the dark often comes to the light, and the question is, was it worth it? It remains. But I see it like this, right? The parallels are there. The ethics are there to catch up with what it is that's presented. And, you know, you have people, like I'm just pulling cards over here, but you have people who disregard spirituality. There's a lot of atheism, a lot of agnosticism. There's a lot of disregard for the faith in favor of intellect and logic. But a lot of those people, sadly, tend to wonder and have like burning questions about whether or not they had it quite right, for something was missing, right? And this is rather the point. What is missing is not a part of the human condition. It's a part of the spiritual condition. The reason why people end up sadly losing their lives to suicide or habits and things like this is because they don't actually have a connection with something that grounds them spiritually in their purpose. The whole purpose of spirituality is uniting yourself with what you care about. It's uniting yourself with yourself, and not just yourself, but like the differences in others that you end up learning to appreciate because it taught you about yourself. And this is the nature of God. This is what the nature of God is. It's not, you know, having to be perfect. It's not having to be, assimilated. It's about being obedient. It's about being obedient unto what God wants, so that we can all honor one another. And the whole point is to honor difference. We don't have to be the same. We don't have to be in the same positions, but we do have to have and harbor a sense of trust and gratitude for one another. And trust and gratitude is not easy to come by when we are badgered in the spirit by persistently disparaging things. And disparagement is something that is highly spiritual. It is simply a mood. It's something like a perspective. Some people would say, oh, philosophy is at the heart of, you know, every attitude. But rather, it's more an ethic. It's more understanding that, like, the way you show up every day is your spirit. So if something is constantly attacking your spirit, you just need to understand that you're in control of what your spirit is willing to tolerate. But not just tolerate, but accept. So if you don't accept yourself showing up every day as someone who is not yourself, then it is your right to combat it. It is your right, absolutely. And even not absolutely, but like truly true of yourself and true of your concept as a self, to armor yourself against things like this, to prevent it by rebuking things, to cancel attempts on your life and livelihood by saying, no, that's not acceptable, I don't want it. And it's not unfavorable to do that, because you have people out here, for example, as a discussion piece, who are in the business of challenging the fates of people as young as a child's age before they can even defend themselves. And this is rather unacceptable, because how is a child supposed to know when to fight? Right? They literally have to be taught that there's even a fight going on, let alone the whole defense prospect of this, right? Aspect, I should say, because there is an opportunity to fight, but it's not like you want to teach a child what opportunities are there to fight for. You kind of want to like show them like peace is the answer, but sometimes fighting is the option. But how are you going to explain spiritual warfare to a baby if not for cartoons and fairy tales and all sorts of things like that, like slaying the proverbial dragon, as it were, right? The whole point and premise of these things is to prove to others that spirituality is sacred at the heart of it. We may not understand it that way until we're older, but what it really is we're protecting our spirits the whole way through and learning what our spirits are as we arrive there to whatever destination of enlightenment that we're supposed to be at. So it's sort of like whether you work with computers and learn about these things because you know about the names and you research them and say, oh, interesting, intellect meets spirituality and so on. Or you've been a spiritualist this entire time and you realize like, wow, the parallels between fiction and reality are not so succinct and divided as we were taught. This is the reality. The reality is that all things are bridged, they're meshed, they're interlinked, they are relative, and it's a matter of what it is in the way of a crux that we reach in a concept of understanding that makes that clear to us. And sometimes all the issue is a lack of attention, or alternatively a lack of experience with both. Thank you for my rose. So, I find it interesting that this is something that I was able to conceptualize some time ago, but further conceptualize into a clear perspective this weekend. And I did some meditating, out by a place that's rather popular. I won't say the location, but I would, be more candid about it in private, just because I tend to be a little more private. I tend to be a private person. It's because like I try not to invite stalkers. You know what I mean? I have been stalked very heavily before. I do not like the feeling of being stalked. I tend not to try to invite it as a reality, but so I was at this place and it was a park. It was like, a park where people tend to go to meditate. And it was a really nice experience because I got channeled messages, and I'm a divine channel. I'm a reader, as it were. I'm a medium. I'm able to do these things. I was blessed by God with these gifts to glorify him and what he's able to do through prayer and reverence. But my experience there was really interesting because I was intuiting things that I don't even believe in. I was intuiting messages that I did not even believe were part of my truth. So it was almost like, how would I even know what they are? Or how would I know like what I was connecting to? And it seemed to be that there was like a guardian in the energy that was one of the elders trying to communicate something to me. And we have a confirmation here with John the Baptist and Elijah. There's a significance here with a collaboration of spirits. I heard of the deep. So there's some sort of like connection with the elders, possibly from an elder age, like far preceding what we knew about like the Holy Lands. It could have been prior to Pangea, or like anything related to Pangea. It could have been these things. And I recognized that what I was connecting to was calling me. It was speaking to me. And for example, like, I don't know the first thing about what this entity's name was. They could have been part of my spirit team, I'm not sure. But it was very interesting to connect with that and realize that they sought my presence. And it didn't make sense to me, but I was honored. Of course, I had reverence for the fact. But I was also intuiting a lot of messages, like marine messages, or like messages having to do with marine spirits and like the depth of the sea, the calling of the sea, something like this. It was really strange because, like, I don't know if there's some significance with the sea or the ocean or bodies of water and like new developments that are being researched in the present day with respect to technology or anything like this. But, you know, there are a lot of influences, like influences of marine root in like pop culture, modern culture, referential culture, even tech culture. You know, you'll see stuff like that. And you'll see that there are significant references to water deities as well for a lot of these things. And what's so crazy to me about this is when you can actually channel this energy and connect with it, it's almost like you're being sought for what it is that you could help clarify about their energy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like you can sense that they need you in order to convey their greatness. And it's a matter of choosing then. You know, there's no such thing as a wrong choice. It's just a matter of choosing for yourself what you align with. And that was a significant part of my weekend. It's like acknowledging what it is that is possible, but what it is specifically that you are aligned with as a person of conscience. And with respect to the nature of its significance in the tech realm, we have a lot of people in the tech realm who are seeking more scrupulous behavior in favor of perhaps things that served them before, but are becoming more risky to do due to not only the physical damage and karma that they could accrue, but the spiritual damage and karma and how heavy that's weighing. I don't feel like it was as much of a focus as it ever was today. And I should say that I said that backwards. I don't think it was ever as much of a focus as it is today that it was before. And it's being noticed. It's more so that like people are more aware of karma and its repercussions and its ability to impact real situations as, you know, something that it connects to. And I mean, it's just interesting to see it. It's interesting to see how every 20 years karma will cycle around, and it's like that one thing that somebody forgot about becomes their downfall. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, I place emphasis on that as I feel like someone is trying to do magic on my root chakra. Return to sender 100,000 fold. I have no time for you. Yeah. There are people who are not so spiritually aware of the damage that they can do to themselves by doing damage to others. And while we all make mistakes, the intention is to learn from them. The intention is to preserve themselves. Yes, really, I actually felt someone trying to do womb magic on me, and it was very painful, actually. So I hope that they are ready to have that right back, because quite frankly, anyone who would attack someone's womb is probably not respectful of any type of breeding process anyway, future, past, or whatever. So yeah, no, I don't have time for anyone who would do magic on me. That's a ridiculous thing to ask me. They can just have their damage right back to them. That's fine. So basically what it is this: spiritual repercussions manifest very realistically. And sometimes it behooves us to pay attention to what it is that's around us in order for us to have the best outcomes and the best comprehension of what it is that is real and what it is that isn't, in Jesus' name. Yeah, they're still trying to do womb magic on me. I'm rebuking that. indefinitely in Jesus' name. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Thanks be to God. Okay. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in. I'm going to end this live because some lunatic is trying to hex my womb and possibly damage my lineage in future. And since this nutcase thinks that I don't deserve to have a podcast and didn't realize that I could hear them when they were chanting that, I'm just going to cancel them out completely spiritually. And I am going to end this live for other reasons. Like, I would prefer actually to have a breather and just go on with my day. But yeah, long story short though, it's super interesting to intuit the fact that there are energies that we don't understand that we're meant to understand. We're meant to create significance for our own lives in the patterns that we recognize. And synchronicities are real. You know, for anyone who says not to regard a synchronicity, I don't know if I said that properly. I kind of tripped over my words in my brain for a second. But for anyone who tells you to disregard a synchronicity, it's kind of like them telling you, oh, hey, just shut your eyes and pretend this doesn't exist. You know, it's not something realistic. Synchronicities exist for reasons that are meant to teach, protect, and verify what it is that we know spiritually and intellectually, and to bridge that gap. Now, sometimes people will use hexes to de-verify what a person knows for sure. And it's possible that, you know, that kind of thing is an issue. But that's also something of an issue that they need to reveal to themselves and address for themselves. Because, you know, there are people who will do all sorts of things to try to hurt someone and not realize that they're going to get hurt so bad just for even trying them, that it's not even a joke. So, yeah, we have a failed sacrifice, Jesus' empty grave, and the road to Emmaus appearance. So, my guess is someone ascended and was expecting someone to still be the same person who would respond a certain way, and they're highly offended. Be offended. You're the one playing with fire. Anyway, I'd like to close this out by saying thank you so much for tuning in to the Academia Gothica official podcast. This is season 11, episode 8. I'm so grateful that you all attended. I'm so grateful that you were all here. I would like to thank you for participating in all of the lives that you were here for. Thank you for sending the likes. We got up to 8.7 thousand likes today. It was amazing. It was so good to have you all here. And I look forward to seeing you next week for episode 9. And we are going to be closing out the podcast season. And then I'm going to take a short break for about a week or two. It's about a week. And then I'll be back the following week. So stay tuned for the updates there. And if you'd like to book me for any readings, any spiritual work, energy work, tech classes, or anything else that I offer, or ask about the books that are currently on sale through my No Topic publication and press brand, in addition to any clothes from my merch store that you'd like to ask questions about, or anything else of this nature, do me a favor and call me. Go to my website, and not just my website, but go to my profile and check one of the pinned messages or my phone number for Academia Gothica, Kissnet, and No Topic publication and press is available for use. You can call me, text me, contact me in any way, shape, or form which would verify my presence, and you can leave a message. I'll get back to you about your order. I'm pretty prompt, but keep it professional. It is a business line. So I'm happy you're here. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I will catch you next week for more content. Stay tuned. Bye.